Hey there guys, as you can tell from the caption of the video, I'm going to be making the Jett dash from Valorant. I was looking online and I really didn't see a lot of videos for this, and I thought it'd be cool to put it out there in case anybody was interested in how this mechanic is implemented into Valorant. This might not be the exact way they have done it, but it is a close representation of what, or at least how the mechanics work. And so first thing you're going to do is you're going to create a first-person example map. You can do this in the starting content, but I've created one here, and I'm going to go to the first-person character, which is located in the first-person BP. Go to blueprints, and we're going to go to the first-person character. And so the character starts out with this default. We're really not going to be touching this. We might touch it a little bit at the end, but right now we're not going to be touching it at all. We're actually just going to scroll down. We're going to give ourselves a little bit of room. As you can see, I've kind of jumped the gun on this. I've created two variables. One is a dash delay, and this is going to be in seconds, so I can actually put seconds here. And so now we know that's going to be in seconds. And this is your movement direction. So we're going to need both of these variables, and they're going to be pretty important. They're going to play a vital role in what we have to do today. One thing with the variables is here's how you add a variable. You just add it here. This is how you change the variable type. So this dash delay seconds is going to be an integer type, and this movement direction is going to be a vector, and you're just going to rename them and set them. The default values on this right side are going to be nothing, so you can just leave those empty, and I'm going to delete that one that I just created. And so what we're going to do is the first thing we want to do is we're going to get a user input key. So I'm just going to do an F key. And that should be fine for me right now. If you have like an actionability or something like that, and you have something set in your project settings for a keybind, you can definitely do that. I'm just going to use the F key for now. And off of this, we're just going to grab a branch, and the first thing we want to do is we're going to check our dash delay seconds. So Valorant doesn't necessarily work this way. The Jett dash usually works after Jett gets a kill or two, and then the dash resets, but we're going to do it after a certain amount of seconds just so we can debug, and then just so you guys can play around with it a little bit, and you can implement the upon kill method into your game if you would like to do that. I'm just going to drag out of here, and I'm just going to grab an equals. And if this equals 0, then we're going to want to continue with the true. If it's false, then we really don't want to dash anymore. Coming out of this, we're just going to do a do once. Do once, and we'll figure out how to reset that in a second. But for now, coming out of this, we're just going to set up the basic structure of how this is going to work. We're going to get a bunch of branches. So I'm just going to copy this one. And I'm going to paste 4 branches here. That should be enough. And we're going to connect, all of these are going to connect into the false. So it's going to, basically we're going to check a condition. If it's true, we're going to do something. If it's false, we're just going to flow into the next one. And we're going to do that 4 times because with the Jett dash in Valorant, we check input keys. So what we're going to do is we're going to check W. S is going to be right here. So W and S, and then we're going to check A and D, and that should be, or we can do D and A, whichever one we want to do. I do W and S first, and the reason you do this is because you get the forward vector, and then you also get the right vector, and the right vector is a plus or minus left or right, and then this is a forwards or backwards plus or minus as well. So, so I'll show you how to do that in a second. So now what we want to do is we want to drag out our movement direction, and we're just going to set this, and we're going to set this right into our true. And I'm just going to copy this and paste it right down here. Paste it again. We're just going to connect this variable into the true, and this is going to eventually determine what direction where you're going to dash. And so now what we got to do is we got to get the actor rotation. So get actor rotation. Oh, there it is. All right, get actor rotation. Sorry about that. And then out of that, we're going to get the forward vector. And we're also going to get the right vector, as I said previously. Get right vector. And then out of these two is kind of where we're going to be doing our propelling of our character. So we're gonna hold off on these for just a second. We're going to use these to set the movement direction. But for now, we want to check the input keys. So I'm going to get the player controller, and out of the player controller, you can actually check if keybinds are down, which is really cool. So we're going to say is input key down, and we are going to copy all of these. And as I said, we're going to need 4, because as the game mechanics work, whatever movement key you're pressing, that's the direction you're going to dash. And so you can click this right here, and you can just click the key you want to set it as. So the default gaming keybinds for movement are W, A, S, and D. So we're going to set W as the top one. We're going to set S as this one. We're going to set A as the third one, and as the fourth one, we're going to set D. And off of this, we're going to plug these into our condition branches. So I can move this a little closer just so we can see this a little better. So the first one is going to be W. That's going to be checking. So is this input key down? If it is true, we're going to set the movement direction to something special for this input key. And if it's not, we're going to go to the next one, and we're going to check to see if S is down, and so on and so forth. So we're just going to keep going down here, and we're going to plug that into there. And so that looks good to me. Oh, besides the fact we need to plug these in, we need to make sure the target is the player controller and you're not missing anything there. So we're just going to compile, make sure that's all saved at the moment. And we are going to now figure out the movement direction. So I'm going to come out of this get forward vector, and I'm going to go into a multiply times a float. We want to times it by a float. I think you could also probably multiply by an integer too. Let me see. Multiply. Yeah, you could do it by an integer. I'm going to do it by a float for now. So I'm just going to do this times a float, and I'm going to do 2,000 might work. That might be a little high, but we shall see. And I'm going to just copy that and move it down here. And then for the backwards, we're going to actually set this to a negative, and I will show you why in a second. And we're going to set that into a movement direction. So we got negative 2,000 for the S key being pressed, and we got 2,000 for the W key being pressed. And that's because when you're looking at the forward vector, positive is forward and negative is backwards. And so so that's how that will work. So negative will actually launch you backwards, positive will launch you forwards. That's why we're setting the negative. And so now what we're going to do is we're actually going to come out of the right vector. And I think this one, we're going to also multiply this times a float. And I think for this one is actually going to be negative 2,000. I could be wrong on this. We'll see in a second. And then that's going to plug into here. And then we'll just, we can just copy this one actually. And we'll just plug this one in right here. And plug that into the plug it into the results. And we will plug that back into our get right vector. So we have the 2,000 and the negative 2,000 right there. And so now what we have to do is we have to, I think the next thing we'll do is we'll create the event tick. So the event tick is going to be checking our seconds, and so that's why this branch is here. We're going to just check our seconds, and we can set this to anything. I'm going to set it to 10 seconds probably, but for debugging purposes, I'll set it to something like 2. And so what we're going to do is we're going to get the event tick, and out of the event tick, we're just going to get it to just a simple delay. And so so out of the delay, what we can do is we can set this at 1 second, and then what we're doing is each time we're ticking, this ticks in delta seconds, and this will tick every 1 second. So on complete of the delay, it will tick once. And then off of this, we're going to do a branch. And coming off the branch, basically what we're going to check is we're going to check if the dash seconds equals 0. Just like that. We are going to not do anything, because if that branch is true, then we already know we can dash again, and we don't want to subtract any more than we have to. So what we're going to do is off the false, we're actually going to set the dash seconds, and we're going to we're going to get the delay seconds, the dash delay seconds, and we're going to subtract 1. So every second, we're going to subtract 1 from this, and if it's already 0, we're not going to subtract any. So every second we're going to do this. Every delta second we're checking. We're going to set a delay. This is going to put us on regular seconds time, and then we go into this branch and we do some math. So that sets up that, and we don't have to worry about that anymore. Coming off of this, I am going to add a trail So when you're dashing, you can see like the wind kind of blow past you or behind you or forward, whatever direction you're moving. But for now, I'm just going to bypass that, and we're going to go right into a set. So we're going to set this here, and we're going to set this to, for now, let's just do like 2, or we can do 3 seconds. And we're going to actually connect all of these into this. So we're going to set the movement direction, and then we're going to connect this into the seconds. So we've set the delay seconds, and then we're going to go into the next little bit. And basically what we want to do is we want to launch our character, but we want to launch our character in the direction we want to move. So what we're going to do is off of this set, we're actually going to launch character. And on the launch character, I think what we can do here is, I'm pretty sure it's the Z-axis, so we want to go up. So I think the Z-axis is up, and I think we're going to launch our character. We can launch, say, 100. We'll just say that for now, and we'll come back to that. That might be something we have to adjust a little bit. And then what we're going to do is we can set a delay of, say, 0.05. And sorry, we'll grab the delay there, and we'll set a 0.05 delay, something very small. Actually, we could set maybe just a point. Maybe we'll just go with the 0.2 delay. 0.2 delay should be fine. We'll see what happens there. We're going to launch character again. And so basically what this first one is going to do is it's going to launch us up a little bit, and then this one is what we're going to set our movement direction into, and that's going to launch us the direction we want to go. So this is going to move us up. This is going to delay just a second, and then this is going to launch us forward. And you can, off of this, you can play an animation if you have an animation for your arms. This is basically what we're going to do is we're going to, off of this, we're going to do some effects with the motion. So we're going to, whatever direction we're moving, we're going to do wind effects in front of our face or behind us or in front of us, and we're going to come off of there on that. And so this is simple, but this is how you do this as of right now. So we're going to test this, I think, if I have it correct. So we'll see what this looks like when we simulate it. So we're in our game, and there's our dash, and then maybe we'll try dashing to the right. And that doesn't seem to be working. The first dash worked. All right, so we'll see what we have wrong there. We'll come back into this. We'll see what we have wrong. Oh, we have it's the do once. We haven't reset yet. So sorry about that. We're going to reset off of this end branch. So we're just going to come back here and we'll reset. I was thinking something is miserably wrong. Whoops. We'll grab that, and then maybe we can grab this and make it a little nicer so we can see it. All right. So now we're into our do once. All right. So that looks good. I'm actually going to set this. This is a little too long of a delay. Maybe I do. Like maybe 0.05. I think what I was going to do before, that might be good. And then I'm going to play it, and we're going to see what happens with the dash. So when I'm moving forward and I decide to dash, you can see it'll dash us forward just like this, and then if I want to go to the left, it'll dash us to the left, and if I want to go to the right, it'll dash us to the right. If I want to go backwards, it'll even dash us backwards. And so all the directions are correct right now. And another thing is when you're dashing, if say you want to jump and dash, it'll actually launch you way farther. So you can set gravity settings and stuff like that, which will also be helpful. So if I jump and dash, it'll launch me really far. And so now we got that set up, and that's just the basics of the mechanic. And now what we're going to do is we're going to do a couple more details. We're actually going to create a trail that goes in front of your camera. That makes the dash effect look cool, and so that's what we're going to work on next. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do a Niagara system, and we're going to do new system from selected emitter, and we're going to just grab a fountain, and we'll click finish. And so in this system, we're going to just call this one forward. And we're going to click into the system, and we're going to adjust some settings here. So I have to look at my other project and figure out these settings, because there are a few things we have to set up. So the first thing we want to do is we want to go into the emitter properties, and we're just going to set this to local space. And everything else there should be fine. The next thing we want to do is we want to go into the emitter state should be fine. We want to go into the spawn rate. So the spawn rate, right now it's set as spawn rate. We don't want to set it as spawn rate. We want to set it as spawn burst instantaneous. And so we're going to delete this, and we are going to add right here, emitter update. We're going to do a spawn burst instantaneous right there. And we're going to spawn on the forward. We're going to spawn 40, just like so. And spawn time, let me see. Spawn time is we're just going to keep that at 0 for now. And then the big one is we're going to go into this initialize particle, and we're going to set this to 0.5. We're going to set this to 1. That's all we have to do right there. We got to set this one to 2. We got to set this to random non-uniform, just like this. And we're going to actually set these values. So these are the max and min sprite sizes. And so what we want to do is we want to set this first one to 10. We want to set this bottom one to 2. We want to set the Y to 1,000, and then we'll set this to 40. And as you can see, we have a nice firework display on the left-hand side here. And so we're going to change that a little bit. We're going to go to the sphere location. We're going to set this to 200. And we're going to set also I think it's going to be the, not the hemisphere. We're going to set the surface only bar right here. We're going to set that to 1. We're going to set this to outside, and we're going to uncheck normalize thickness, and that should be it for that little part. This is something we're going to have to change. This is add velocity in cone. I don't want to add velocity in cone. I just want to add velocity. You can do the in cone if you want. It just it gets too in front of your character when you're dashing, and it just looks bad in my opinion. Other people might like this a little more, so you can mess with this as you want. I'm going to delete this one. I'm actually going to add velocity instead, and the velocity I want to add is 2,000 in the X value. And as you can tell, when I click into this, it is flying a single direction. We also have a little bit of a drop off, and that's coming from our gravity force. So in our gravity force right here, we're going to set this as 0, just like so. And now you can see that it's flying straight across the screen, because remember with the Z axis, if it's set to a negative, it's going to be dropping. And so now it's just going straight across because it's all set at 0. And now we are going to, I think the last thing we're going to have to do is go into render. And in render, this is how we get our alignment. So see how this just looks terrible right now? We're getting a bunch of basically straws thrown at us. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into alignment, and we're going to set velocity aligned, and that is going to change how this looks, and it's going to look like our dash effect that we want. So there's how you do the, that's how you do the forward dash. So that when you're dashing forward or backwards, this one actually is going to handle the backwards as well. If you're dashing forwards or backwards, that's what it's going to look like. And so, yeah, so there's that one. And now we're going to go into our example map. We're also going to copy this. And we got to make one for dashing left and right. So I'm going to duplicate this one. And we're just going to call this right for now. We're just going to use this one for forward and backwards and this one for left and right. We're going to click into this one. And we're going to change only a few of these. This one's going to change to 20. So spawn burst instantaneous. We're only going to change it to 20 because we don't need that many, and because it's going to block our view when we're dashing left and right. Instead of a sphere location, we're going to actually delete that, and we're going to make this a box location. And the box location, I'm pretty sure, let me check my settings over here. I'm just going to make sure I don't want to get this wrong. The box location, the only thing we set is this to 300, and that should be fine there. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think that's the only thing we need to do in the right. So after you duplicate, you just set the box location, and you set the Z to 300, and then the this is just going to change to 20. The spawn burst instantaneous is just going to change to 20 because we don't want as many in our face when we're dashing left and right. It's fun when you have a bunch dashing in your face backwards and forwards because you can see them all, but this is going to help us a little bit there. And that should be good as of right now. I'm just going to make sure here. So we're going to move on now, and we got to set up our systems into our player, and we're going to add the components for it. So we're going to add a system right here to the right, and we're also going to add the left one. So it only showed up as the right one, so I'm just going to duplicate this one, and I'm going to duplicate it a couple times because we need one for every direction we're going to be moving. So here's the right. Here is the left, so we're just going to name this left, and then we'll have this one as the forward, and we have this one as the right. Oh, sorry, this is backwards. Backward. All right. If I could spell, it's fine. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go into the viewport. And so now you can see this jumbled mess of all of them blowing the same way, and it just doesn't look good. So we're going to move these around a little bit and make it look good. If you click on each one of these, you can set active or auto activate right here. We're going to turn all of these off just so we can see what we're working with. So in each one, we're going to turn off auto activate. And now there are no more, and we can see that. I am going to maneuver over here kind of towards our camera view just so we can see a little better. Let's start with the right. So if we're moving right, then the trail is going to be going to the left, and we know that. So we're going to do this. We're going to set this at a 90-degree lock. I'm just going to make rotation a little easier for us. So the rotation lock at a 90 degrees. You can drop that down if you want to do a different, you can. I'm just going to do 90. I'm going to set rotation, and I'm going to drag this. So if we're moving this way in this direction, we want the lines to go the opposite direction. So I'm going to rotate that just like so, and now you can see that the lines are flowing the correct way. And I'm going to move this out a little bit in front of our camera so our guy can see it. So you can see that it is out there. I'm going to move it in maybe just a tad. And now, if you're looking at it, this is what you'll see. Maybe I move it to the right just a tad, and so that kind of shows you what it will look like. And so now what I want to do is I want to do the left. So first what we have to do is we have to turn off this auto activate on the right, and we're going to go to the left and turn on auto activate, just so we can see the left one now. And in this one, remember, if we're moving to the left, we want the lines to go to the right. So I am going to rotate this to the right, just like so. I'm going to move this forward like we did the last one, just so it's out in front of our character. I'm going to move it a little bit also to the left, just so we can see what it looks like here. My camera is very fast. Maybe move it out a tad more, and that looks good to me. And another thing we can do is just to get the same distance so it doesn't look super hokey, we can turn on this one, and they're about the same. I'd say that's pretty close. They're overlapping. That will be okay. If anything, we can just we can move that one to like right there, and that'll be fine. So I'm going to turn that one off. And now we have to do the forward and backward. So the backward is very simple. I did not turn off activate on the left, so I'm going to turn off activate on the left. Forward and backwards, fairly simple. Backwards basically done for us, so I'm going to turn on auto activate. And if we're moving backwards, the lines are going to be moving in front of us. And so I might move this back just a tad, and that's basically all I have to do. And then I'm going to go turn off auto activate again. I'm going to go to the forward, and I'm going to turn on auto activate so we can see it. I'm going to rotate this 180 degrees, just like so, with that lock on, and I'm going to move this in front of us a little bit just so we can see it when we're dashing. And there it is. And that's all we need to do for that. And I'm going to compile. And so now we have all of our stuff set. Make sure on the forward you turn off auto activate because we are going to be manipulating this ourselves. So we're going to turn off auto activate. So now none of them are activated, and but they are all set in the correct locations. So now we want to go back to our first person character, our event graph in our first person character, and we're going to be messing with this just a little bit more. So what we're going to do is we can actually drag out our forward, and we're going to place that right above our W key branch right here. We're going to drag out our forward, and we are going to promote this to a variable. And let's name this variable direction. So now we have the direction of the trail that we want to set, and we're going to plug this in. We'll just plug it in over here, and we're going to copy this 3 more times because we have 3 more directions we could have besides forwards. And we'll move this down so they all connect here, just like so. And this one will be here, and this one here. And so I am going to set this one to backwards right here, and I am going to set, I think this one, with the A key, we're going to be going to the left, so I can set this one to left right there, and I can set this one to the right, just like so. All right, and now all of these are going to have to plug into our seconds, just so it remains, it has that delay that we want to set at the beginning. So I'll plug that in and that in as well. And then this will also launch our character. And then after the launch character, we're just going to disconnect this branch here, or this this part of the tree, and we're going to actually expand this out a little bit. I'm going to move this down so it doesn't look so cramped. And we're going to actually activate and deactivate whatever one is set at the moment. So we're going to grab the direction variable that we have, this direction variable that we just created. We're going to get that, and off of this we want to activate, and get the activate right here. And off the activate, we're going to do a delay, and we're going to set this delay to a 2-second delay, and that should be okay. And then off of this, we want to deactivate. And there's the deactivate, just like so. We plug that in, and now I can drag this thing all the way down, and we will connect that into our reset. So that looks good to me. There's one other thing that we have to get right here. So what happens if none of these keys are pressed and you hit this false right here? Well, we don't really want to do anything. We don't want to dash a certain direction. We definitely don't want to set the dash seconds because then you basically lose your dash ability. So what we want to do is we want to just make this go right to the do once reset, just like so. And I'm going to slide this over and clean this up a little bit, make this look nice. We'll drag this down one, and then fit this in between. Just clean up the space a little bit. Just so we can see what we're doing. And this should be, unless I missed something, this should be all that we need to do. So there's a couple more things you can do. You can like sever input when you're dashing, so you can't like move or rotate, or your gun can rotate, but your character can't do any other abilities or something like that. You can sever like different like shooting abilities and reloads and stuff like that if you have your gun. So that's one thing you could do. So I caught one thing at the very end, and I wanted to go back and make sure that you guys saw my mistake. So right here at when we added the Niagara trails that we created, basically what I did wrong here is I have these set. So you want left and right set as right for the trail system, but the forward and backward, we didn't set the correct one. So the forward and backward, we have to set to our forward, and we have to set to our forward. So both of those are going to be set to forward, and that is going to look a little better. And we're going to play and test this out. So if we're moving around and we decide to dash forward, there's our forward, and here's our backwards. and then we also have the left and the right as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys have any questions, just let me know. If you have anything you want me to implement on top of that, just leave a comment. If you have anything you want me to try out, I'm not a developer, but I do find this enjoyable. So if you want to leave me a comment with something you are curious about, just let me know. And thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. See ya.